Today we're going to recap the story of Nezha from 2019. After 1,000 years of concentrating the spiritual energy of the sun and moon, the Pearl of Chaos has become so strong that even immortals have difficulty dealing with it. To neutralize the danger, Shandi, the Supreme Lord of Heaven, sent the immortals Shen and Taiyi Zhenren, his disciples. Realizing that his students will fail, Shandi decides to intervene and traps the creature inside a cauldron, heating the giant pot until it splits the jewel into two parts: the spiritual pearl and the demonic pill. As the second jewel is more dangerous, the Supreme Lord of the Heavens casts a spell so that lightning will destroy it within 3 years. On the other hand, the spirit pearl poses no danger and will serve as a gift for Commander Li Jing, who is about to have a child. After storing the two jewels inside a magic lotus, Shandi gives the artifact to Taiyi, which makes Shen feel betrayed by his master. With the jewels in hand, Taiyi goes to Chengtang's palace and introduces himself to Li Jing and his wife Yin, telling them about Shangdi's gift. Now that the birth is about to take place, Taiyi starts meditating, unaware that Shen is determined to stop it. While Taiyi waits, one of Li Jing's servants offers him a bottle of booze and the gluttonous immortal accepts, drinking it all in one go and then blacking out. Now that Zhenren is unconscious, the servant approaches the lotus and tries to pick it up, discovering that the object is protected by enchantments that throw him away. Thinking he'd passed out drunk, Li Jing finds the blacked-out immortal and starts punching him in the stomach until he lets it all out, allowing him to regain consciousness and unlock the lotus. While Yin is giving birth, Taiyi opens the artifact and the servant tries to steal them, but Li Jing manages to stop him and Zhenren sees that he has a bondage seal stuck to his back, signaling that he is being controlled by someone. While the two of them are trying to understand what's going on, another puppet appears and steals the jewels, but instead of taking both, he decides to put the demonic pill in the circle that should receive the spiritual pearl. Desperate, Li Jing attacks the stone circle and manages to break it, but it's no use. The seal is already in place and floats down to Yin's belly. While Shen picks up the spirit pearl, Li Jing goes to check on his son and is amazed to realize that he only has his head. Suddenly, the child starts bouncing around and attacks the citizens, forcing Taiyi to interfere. Even so, the little demon manages to break free and combust shortly afterwards, generating its remaining limbs. With his powers of fire, little Nezha starts attacking everything around him and Tay is forced to restrain him with the Chenken ring, a mystical artifact that attaches to the child's neck to limit his powers. Now that the danger is contained, Zhenren advances towards him to eliminate him, but Yin steps in and doesn't allow anyone to touch her son. Seeing his wife's dedication, Li Jing promises that he will educate Nezha and Taiyin warns him about the spell, but Li Jing is sure that he can convince Shandi to reverse everything. While all this is going on, Shen goes to the middle of the ocean and passes through the depths until he reaches the center of an underwater volcano, the place where the dragons are imprisoned. Seeing that the immortal has the spirit pearl, Ao Guang, the Dragon King gives Shen one of his eggs to place the jewel inside, and so Ao Bing is born. On the surface, Taiyi takes Li Jing after his master, but when they arrive at the portal that goes beyond the three worlds, they are greeted by a cloud that warns them that Shandi has already crossed over to the other side, and that since a day there is equivalent to a year on Earth, it could take him more than a decade to return. While Li Jing mourns in Chengtang, Nezha destroys part of the palace and climbs the wall to enjoy the view. Noticing that the boy is bored, Yin goes to her son and offers to spend some time playing with him, but soon a messenger appears and reports that a spirit is causing panic in the neighborhood, forcing the woman to stop everything to go and help. Before leaving, Yin talks to the guardian beasts and asks them to keep an eye on Nezha, because last time they let the boy through the barrier. Almost instantly, one guard starts accusing the other and the two end up fighting. With no time to lose, Yin leaves the two behind and heads for the village, but Nezha is right behind her and manages to pass without any problems. Once in the city, the citizens realize that the demon pill carrier has escaped and run for cover, but Nezha manages to find everyone and spreads chaos throughout the city. Outside Chengtang, a group of children are gathered when the boy who was supposed to be on watch appears, suggesting that they should set traps to deal with Nezha. Finding the idea interesting, the leader of the group asks what he is planning and the boy mentions various traps that could make Nezha never want to attack the village again, But little do they know that it was he himself who came up with the idea. Frightened at the sight of Nezha, the group runs in desperation and ends up falling into the trap they have set for themselves, going through everything that Yin's son has suggested. As he watches, the pill carrier laughs at the boys who get angry and call him a demon, but Nezha hates being called that and gets so angry that he kicks a giant rock at them, forcing Taiyi to save them. As a way of punishing him, Li Jing locks his son in a room and meets with his wife to decide what to do. Thinking about what's best for him, Yin suggests that they resign their posts and spend the next few years playing with Nezha until Shangdi's curse comes to pass, but Li Jing refuses and Taiyi offers to train him, promising that he will become a demon hunter. Seeing no other option, they accept and prepare a trap to take Nezha to the world of painting, an extremely beautiful place that can only be controlled by a magic brush. As the training begins, Zhenren shows him the magic of disguise and says that with this power, he can make one object change into another whenever he wants, as well as being able to change the shape of his own body. Excited by the idea, Nezha starts training and Taiyi goes to sleep thinking that it will be months before he makes any progress, but he is woken up by Yin a few hours later. Wanting to know how far her son had progressed, the woman asked to see him and Zhenren began searching for him, finding the boy floating in the water unconscious. Desperate, Taiyi rushes to his rescue and gives him mouth-to-mouth until his belly explodes from swelling so much. Suddenly, Nezha turns into a frog and Zhenren realizes that he has been tricked by his apprentice who has already mastered the disguise technique. Filled with poisonous toad goo on his face, Taiyi begins to swell and can barely move. Before continuing his training, Zhenren needs help getting back to normal and asks Nezha to get the antidote from his pocket, but the boy gets distracted by other artifacts and ends up setting his master's pants on fire with a fire-spitting spear. As Tai rolls from side to side, Yin and Li Jing arrive to help him, saying that they're arresting him because people think he's a demon. To put him out of his misery, Yin decides to lie by saying that he is the bearer of the spirit pearl and that he is destined to become a great demon hunter, but that since the people in the village don't understand his power, they are scared. Feeling special, the boy finally decides to take his training seriously and spends the next 2 years practicing. But when he sees that even in the simulation Nezha doesn't care about innocent people, Li Jing tells him that he can't be trusted. Angrily, Nezha puts the spear and chaos silk in Taiyi's pocket and picks up the brush without anyone noticing, leaving the painting and his father and master trapped there. On land, Yaksha, a demon who takes the shape of water, comes out of the sea and crawls into the village, taking advantage of the disguise to catch a dog. With the dog about to be devoured, Nezha appears and orders him to let it go, but the demon thinks he's in front of a normal child and starts to laugh, until he's head-butted and pecked, sending him flying. Realizing that the boy is powerful, Yaksha reverts to his liquid form and flees while Nezha destroys the village houses running after him. On the way out of town, the demon finds some jerry cans full of water and hides among them. As the boy searches for the creature, the population appears and they start running around desperately, but Nezha wants to prove that he can be a hero and orders everyone to watch as he destroys their pots. Tired of wasting time, the bearer of the demonic pill decides to appeal and summons his flames to burn all the canisters at once, but this ends up setting fire to the houses and scaring the villagers, who run without being able to see the demon. While on the run, the monster picks up a girl called Vaya right in front of his older brother, causing the boy to go to town accusing Nezha of having kidnapped her. Leaving the forest, the creature leaps towards the sea and mocks the boy, thinking he'll be able to escape, but just as he's about to dive in, a hooded man appears and freezes the water, preventing the demon from escaping. Furious, the aquatic monster tries to confront the new hero and is easily defeated, but Nezha refuses to allow anyone else to save Vaya and acts like a complete lunatic, attacking the stranger and returning the girl to the monster. Wanting to be the only hero, Nezha goes after the stranger and they start fighting. During the fight, the hooded warrior loses his cloak and Nezha finds it strange that he has horns, but decides to ignore it and goes back to fighting. As the two face off, Yaksha takes the opportunity to launch his special attack and releases several bubbles that touch Nezha's hand, petrifying him almost instantly. Taking advantage of the fact that the two are surrounded, Yaksha swallows the girl and the horned warrior rushes towards him, punching the creature in the stomach so that he spits Vaya back out. But as soon as he comes into contact with the saliva on her body, the mysterious warrior begins to petrify almost instantly. With Yaksha about to crush them both, Nezha uses his petrified hand to burst the bubbles and paves the way to get closer to the demon. Realizing this, the monster throws an ice stone at him and surrounds himself with more bubbles to protect himself, but Nezha doesn't give up and grabs the petrified warrior's body to continue the attack, hitting the creature in the face with the statue. Completely defeated, Yaksha pleads for mercy and offers the antidote to get everyone back to normal. Now that things are calmer, the mysterious warrior thanks Nezha for saving his life and offers to play with him as a way of sealing a friendship. After playing until nightfall, the man introduces himself as Ao Bing and hands Nezha a seashell, saying that if he wants to meet him again, all he has to do is come to the beach and blow on it. As soon as he leaves, the locals arrive furious and Vaya tries to tell them that Nezha saved her, but the people don't understand what she's saying and accuse the boy of having kidnapped her, as well as calling him a demon. Furious, Nezha goes up to the people and starts attacking them, knocking them out one after the other. Blinded by rage, the boy throws a tool at one of the citizens and only fails to eliminate him because Taiyi appears to deflect the object, as well as immobilizing his disciple. At the bottom of the ocean, Ao Bing tells him about meeting Nezha and Shen as very happy. He then explains that the boy he met is the bearer of the demonic pill and that it is his duty to stop him, saying that once he has defeated Nezha, he will be able to join the court of heaven. As he considers Li's son a friend, Ao Bing tries to tell him that he doesn't want to fight, but Ao Guang interferes and decides to tell him a bit more about the history of dragons. He then says that his species was revered by humans because they defeated the monsters that attacked the land, but after several millennia, the dragons were banished to the submerged volcano with the excuse of keeping an eye on the other creatures. Tired of being trapped, the dragons ask Shen to take the spirit pearl and fused it with Ao Bing's egg. Now, they want the boy to defeat Nezha and win a place in the court of heaven, where he will finally have the power to free all the other dragons. After hearing the story, Ao Bing agrees to the plan and begins to prepare for the final battle. At the Chengtong Palace, Nezha is feeling lonely and Yin decides to pay him a visit to try and cheer him up, telling him that his birthday is coming up and offering to throw a big party. Despite his initial excitement, the boy says that people hate him and Yin lies once again, saying that the population has discovered that a demon has taken Vaya and that now everyone considers him a hero. In this way, she manages to get Nezha to accept the party and they leave the room, leaving the boy alone to draw up an invitation and go to the beach to talk to the Dragon Prince. Even after hearing his father's story, Ao Bing heeds the call and takes the invitation to the party, promising that he will attend. Back at the volcano, Shen says it's time to leave and each of the dragons removes one of their scales to forge a suit of armor, giving Ao Bing the hope of regaining his freedom. On his birthday, Nezha is preparing for the celebration when Shen appears like a mist behind him. Thinking he's some kind of monster, the demon boy goes after him and starts attacking him, only stopping when Shen says he's Taiyi's friend. Now that he has the boy's attention, the immortal decides to tell him the whole truth about the jewels and Nezha goes to the ceremony furious. Without understanding why, Zhenren tries to cheer him up with gifts, returning the spear and the silk of chaos, as well as giving him a mount that can change shape according to its owner's wishes. After the master, it's his father's turn to present him with a gift, and Li Jing gives him a bag containing an amulet of protection. As soon as the presents are finished, Nezha says that everyone is a liar and tells them that he already knows about the demon pill. Instead of admitting it, the people keep trying to trick him and the boy decides that he will punish them by undoing the spell that keeps the Chenken ring around his neck. Without the artifact, Nezha unleashes all his power and assumes demonic form. In this state, he has no control over his mind and starts attacking everyone around him, including his own father. Desperate, Taiyi tries to stop his disciple and warns him that the ring is his only hope, asking the soldiers to search for the object. However, Shen has already taken the artifact and is watching everything from afar, just waiting for Nezha to defeat Taiyi so that the Dragon Prince can enter the battlefield. Upon hearing his master's plan, the Dragon Prince says that the others don't need to suffer and asks for permission to save them. For some reason, Shen accepts the request and hands over the ring so that his disciple can save everyone. On the battlefield, Nezha uses the firepower of his own spear against his father and Taiyi manages to save him at the last second, but this puts him in the crosshairs of his own student. The bearer of the demonic pill sends the silk and spear to fight his master and personally goes after Li Jing, and Ao Bing appears to save him, as well as freezing the chaos silk, which returns to its bearer. Seeing the enemy, Nezha immediately goes after him and Ao Bing manages to freeze him. With his powers of fire, the boy manages to break free and advances towards the Dragon Prince, who manages to freeze his spear and hand the ring to Zhenren. Realizing what they are up to, he even tries to fly away, but Taiyi manages to catch him and hook the ring back around his neck, turning Nezha back into his human form even after regaining consciousness. The boy is still furious and decides to flee into the mountains, leaving the Dragon Prince alone with the people. While trying to make a toast in celebration, Li Jing spills drink on the hero's clothes and pulls his cloak off to clean it, revealing Ao Bing's horns and making everyone realize that he is a dragon. As soon as he sees the mark on his forehead, Taiyi realizes that it was the dragons who stole the spirit pearl and begins to offend everyone of his kind. At that moment, Shen appears and explains that, since they have discovered that the dragons are behind everything, everyone there needs to be eliminated. To free his species, Ao Bing obeys his master and begins to control the surrounding water, forming a giant floating lake just above the city. After accumulating tons of water in the air, the Dragon Prince freezes everything and prepares to bury Chengtong. In the forest far away, Nezha's mount turns back into a pig to show the memory of the day Li Jing went up to the clouds. After learning that Shandi wouldn't return in time, the man made a transplant rune and took on the curse, so when the time came, he would be the one struck by the lightning. After seeing the souvenir, Nezha takes the bag Li Jing gave him and realizes that the rune is inside, which motivates him to return to Chengtong. In the village, Li Jing and Yin try to stop the enemy and are easily defeated and end up frozen. Just then, Nezha arrives like a meteor and emanates so much heat that it melts the ice holding his parents. Realizing that Ao Bing wants to bury Chengtong, Nezha doesn't think twice before attacking him, but because of the ring, his powers are limited and he doesn't have much chance of victory. Even so, the boy doesn't give up and continues exchanging blows with the Dragon Prince, generating so much steam that it creates a fog around them. Taking advantage of this, Nezha uses the magic of disguise to transform into Shen and make Ao Bing drop his guard, piercing his back with the spear. Even so, he is still standing and enters the fog behind Nezha. On the other side, Shen faces Taiyi, who tries to capture him with the painting scroll, but even though they are both skilled, the demon monk is superior and Zhenren decides to hide in the mist. Shen refuses to allow him to escape and runs after him, only to come face to face with the transformed Nezha. Seizing the opportunity, the boy switches the appearance of the two weapons and thus manages to get Ao Bing to attack his own master. Opportunistic as ever, Nezha joins the fray and in this way manages to knock Shen down, piercing the Dragon Prince's back straight away. After wounding him, the boy runs through the mist and ends up being captured by Taiyi's painting. Right behind him, the real Shen appears and Zhenren immediately understands what he has done. There, Zhenren tries to open the portal and Shen goes after him, setting off a dispute between the two pairs as to who will get the brush. In the middle of the battle, Ao Bing ends up trapping everyone in a sphere of ice and Nezha manages to catch the brush with his foot, but the ground gives way underneath and he has to design ways to escape. After playing a real game of pinball inside the scroll, the brat finally manages to draw the portal and they all return to Chengtong. Finally free, Nezha confronts Shen while his parents fight Ao Bing, but as they are only human, the boy drops everything to protect them and ends up being hit in the back. With Nezha practically knocked out, Ao Bing assumes his dragon form and goes onto the ice to bury the village. Desperate, Nezha decides to remove the ring from his neck and move it to his arm, allowing him to enter his demonic form and still maintain control. Now that he has more power, the boy flies up to the block of ice and uses all his strength to hold it down, but Ao Bing is not willing to let this happen and continues to push the floating iceberg against the ground. With no alternative, Nezha uses all his power and ends up awakening a new power, becoming six-armed and emanating a lotus-shaped cloud of flames that covers the mass of ice, turning everything into a light rain. With that done, Nezha binds Ao Bing with the silk of chaos and advances towards him, but instead of finishing him off, the boy reverts to his normal form and says that he would never hurt a friend. Just then, the big storm approaches and Nezha returns to Chengtong to say goodbye to his parents, thanking them for everything and bowing to them. After trapping them with the Silk of Chaos, the boy destroys the seal Li Jing made and waits for the lightning bolt that will take his life. After some time, the storm finally arrives and Nezha is pulled up into the sky, struck by hundreds of bolts of lightning at once. Determined to save him, the Dragon Prince enters the storm and uses the scales of his relatives to form a shield to protect them, which makes Shen feel betrayed and leave. In the midst of the lightning, the jewel bearers hold hands and the symbols on their foreheads form a yin-yang, releasing the original power of the Chaos Pearl. Thanks to this energy they manage to repel the lightning, but the storm materializes a face and spits out one last sphere of energy. In response, the bearers of the jewels join together to form a sphere that collides with the sphere of electricity. At that moment, Taiyi decides to help and jumps towards the two, throwing the lotus to protect them from the impact. Thanks to this attitude, after the explosion the duo's bodies were disintegrated, but their souls are still intact and Shandi will be able to restore them when he returns. After all these events, the people of Chengtang gather around the crater and revere little Nezha, finally considering him a hero. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie